Welcome to Leading Beyond Limits, the podcast where we explore the extraordinary journeys and insights of remarkable leaders who have pushed the boundaries of what's possible. Your host, Angel Radcliffe, who is a digital transformation leader, author, speaker, and financial educator, will lead each episode and dive deep into the stories, strategies, and philosophies that have empowered these exceptional individuals to lead, inspire, and achieve beyond the ordinary. We're about to embark on a journey of discovery and inspiration, and together, we'll learn what it takes to lead beyond limits. So grab your cape, or at least your favorite coffee mug, because we're about to unravel the extraordinary tales of trailblazers who've turned impossible into I'm possible. Let's get started.
Hello, and welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Considering what we're covering today, I'm glad we have a bit of a quiet space to do it in.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
We are looking at a single scenario, a leadership micro scenario.
Yeah.
And honestly, sometimes these small, dense sources hold more weight than a 100-page white paper.
It's definitely heavy. It's a direct challenge to a very common cliche that I think most of us have just accepted as fact. So, to set the stage for everyone listening, we are looking at a specific piece of text, a scenario really, that centers around this phrase. Crisis doesn't build character, it simply reveals it.
It simply reveals that.
And I have to admit, when I first read that in the prep for this, my immediate reaction wasn't, aha. It was more like, ouch.
Ouch. That's a really common reaction.
Yeah.
Why do you think it hit you that way? What's the discomfort there?
I think it's because it kills the romance, you know?
Yeah.
We love the movie version of leadership. The hero is just a regular person, maybe even a bit of a slacker, until the aliens invade.
Or the building catches fire.
Right. And then suddenly, bam, the music swells and they transform. They become something they weren't before. But this scenario is saying, absolutely not.
That's a lie.
It's a lie. And that is exactly where we need to park ourselves today.
Because if we are waiting for the crisis to turn us into leaders, we're going to be waiting a very long time.
So what's the mission here? If we aren't telling people how to transform into superheroes, what are we doing? Because usually people come to us for the how-to.
And that's the first trap we need to avoid. We are not here to give a 5-step plan on how to build character in a weekend.
Right.
That's not what this scenario is about. Our goal today is to sit with the tension this text creates. We want to explore what actually happens when the lights go out, and why leading in that darkness is so psychologically heavy.
And why it scares so many capable leaders.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the scenario pairs that first line with another quote that I think is even more provocative. It says, "When the pressure is on and the stakes are high, you don't rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your values."
That is the anchor for this entire discussion.
You sink to the level of your values. Okay, I need to push back on this a little bit, because sinking isn't a word we associate with success.
No, it's not.
We talk about rising to the challenge. Athletes rise to the occasion. Why does this scenario insist on sinking? Is it just being cynical?
I get that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's cynicism. I think it's almost physics.
Physics, how?
Well, think about what rising implies. It implies a sudden burst of new capability.
Yeah.
You know, that the pressure itself acts as a fuel source.
Right, like a power-up in a video game. The boss battle starts and suddenly you have a bigger sword.
Precisely. But the scenario argues that pressure doesn't add anything to you. It subtracts. It squeezes. It introduces noise, confusion, fatigue, fear. And when you are squeezed by all those external forces, you don't float up. You drop down. You fall until you hit something solid.
And that solid thing is your values.
That's your bedrock. Or your training. There's that famous line, we don't rise to the level of our expectations, we fall to the level of our training. This is just applying that same idea to the soul. You fall to the level of your values.
So sinking isn't about failing or drowning here. It's about gravitational pull toward your foundation.
Correct. But here is the reality check. And this is why it's so terrifying for leaders. If you sink, you are landing on whatever you built before the crisis started.
Oh, I see the problem.
Right. If you haven't built that foundation, if you haven't done the work on your character or your principles,
Yeah.
where do you land?
You don't. You just keep falling.
You keep falling. And that's what we see when leaders implode in a crisis. We watch them grasp for strategies, for spin, but they have nothing solid to stand on.
You can't conjure a foundation in the middle of an earthquake.
No, you can't. The scenario suggests that who you are is already set before the emergency begins.
Honestly, that's kind of terrifying. It means the prep time is over the moment the notification hits your phone. It's too late to study for the test.
It is too late. Which brings us to another key distinction in the scenario. Context changes. Character remains.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because it sounds nice on a bumper sticker, but doesn't a leader need to adapt to the context?
Of course. But you're confusing tactics with character. Your actions change, but the source of those actions cannot. Think about the environment of a crisis. It's volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. The context is a moving target.
Sure, it's chaos.
Exactly. Now, if you, as leader, are trying to mirror the context, if you are looking to the chaos to tell you how to be, you'll be just as chaotic.
Yeah.
You become a thermometer, just reflecting the heat of the room.
Instead of the thermostat setting the temperature.
Right. Your character has to be the static variable. When everything around you is spinning, the only thing that isn't spinning is your internal code, that bedrock.
So if that bedrock is shaky,
Then there is no leadership. There's just reaction.
this connects right back to that idea of revealing. If the context is stripping everything else away,
Yeah.
the nice office, the clear quarterly goals, the easy wins, all that's left is that internal code.
It's like the tide going out. You see what's actually on the bottom.
And that visual of the tide going out, or as the scenario says, when the lights go out, that brings us to the psychology of what happens in that moment. Because we see this all the time, don't we? Capable, smart, experienced leaders who hit a crisis and just freeze.
The hesitation, the pause. I've seen it. Why do you think that happens?
Yeah.
If we accept that character is the bedrock, why do people hesitate to land on it?
Well, the charitable assumption, and probably what I would tell myself, is that I just don't have enough information. I'm waiting for the data. I don't want to make the wrong move because I don't see the full picture yet. I'm being prudent.
Prudent. That's the safe word, isn't it? I just need one more report.
I need to consult legal one more time.
Exactly. But if we really look at this, that hesitation is rarely about a lack of data. Usually in a crisis, you have some data. You have enough to move. Yet leaders stop.
So if it's not an information gap, what is it?
It's an emotional barrier. It's identity protection. Let's go back to the text. Crisis doesn't build character. It simply reveals it.
Reveals?
That word reveals implies visibility, exposure.
Ah, okay. It's the fear of being seen, of being naked.
It's the discomfort with risk and accountability. When you are just managing a process, if something goes wrong, who do you blame?
You blame the process, the market shifted, the supply chain broke.
Exactly. You're detached from the failure. But in a true crisis, when the lights are out and you are forced to make a call based solely on your values, if that goes wrong,
They aren't blaming the process, they're blaming you.
they are judging your character. The weight of knowing that any mistake will be seen as a character flaw rather than just a tactical error, that is paralyzing. It's ego defense.
Ego defense.
You're protecting your image. You freeze because as long as you haven't acted, you haven't revealed anything yet. You're still Schrodinger's leader, both competent and incompetent at the same time.
And the moment you act, the box opens.
The box opens.
Wow. That is a heavy psychological burden. It's the vulnerability of it all. The scenario says the test is who you become when the lights go out.
And that lights out metaphor is so powerful. When the lights go out, you lose your bearings. You lose the visual cues of status and success. You are alone with your decision.
And that feeling of being exposed while simultaneously being in the dark, that's a paradox, isn't it?
It is a paradox. You feel naked, but you also can't see where you're going. And it's why relying on syncing to your values is the only way through. You have to navigate by internal sonar.
Internal sonar. I like that, but I have to play devil's advocate here. I can hear a listener, maybe a CEO, yelling at their speakers right now.
Sure.
They're saying, okay, internal sonar sounds poetic, but I have stakeholders. I have a board. I have employees relying on me for paychecks. I can't just trust my vibes. I need certainty.
And that desire for certainty is understandable. But in this context, it's a trap. It's what we call the myth of certainty.
Myth of certainty.
In a true crisis, waiting for 100% certainty is a luxury you do not have.
Yeah.
It simply does not exist. The variables are moving too fast.
So if you wait for certainty, the crisis has probably already overwhelmed you.
Exactly. By the time you are 100% sure, the opportunity to lead has passed. So leading with partial clarity is the requirement. The question is how to do that responsibly.
And based on the text, you do it by trusting the bedrock, but that feels risky.
It is risky. But it's an exercise in self-trust. And I want to be clear. I don't mean arrogance. I don't mean the I'm a genius, I can't fail mentality.
Right.
I mean trusting that your values can handle the weight of the decision. You have to believe that if you make a call that aligns with your integrity, even if the outcome is messy, you can live with that.
That distinction is huge. It's not about knowing the outcome will be perfect. It's about knowing the intent was grounded.
Yes. It's about presence over tactics. The scenario asks a really poignant question. Think of a leader you admire. Was it their technical skill that won you over, or how they handled a crisis?
That's a really good question. When I think of the leaders I've really followed, I couldn't tell you what their proficiency was in Excel. I just remember how they stood in the room when things were falling apart.
You remember their presence. You remember that they didn't panic. You remember that they sank to a level of values that felt safe for everyone else.
So in a way, the technical skill, the strategy documents, the KPIs, that's the furniture in the room. But the character is the floor.
And when the earthquake hits, nobody cares about the furniture. Everyone is looking at the floor to see if it holds.
That's a strong visual. But let's get practical about the decision itself. If we aren't using calculation, what are we using?
We are using judgment. And this is a critical distinction. Calculation is math. It needs all the variables to work. You plug in A, B, and C to get D.
But in a crisis, you have A, maybe half of B, and C is missing.
Right. Calculation fails. Judgment is human. Judgment fills in the gaps of the unknown with experience and character. It's making a call based on who you are, not just what you know.
It's saying, I don't know the future, but I know what we stand for, so we are going that way.
And that's why crisis doesn't build character. Because you can't build judgment in that split second. It had to be built in the quiet moments years before.
It's the accumulation of all those small choices you made when the lights were on.
Exactly. Every time you told the truth when it was inconvenient, every time you treated a junior employee with respect, that's what forms the bedrock you land on when the lights go out.
This is, well, like we said at the beginning, it's heavy. It shifts the responsibility entirely back onto the individual. There's no blaming the weather.
No. And I think it's why it's so empowering, actually. It's scary, yes. It removes the excuses. But it also means you don't need to wait for a crisis to become a great leader. You build that capacity right now on a boring Tuesday.
The boring Tuesday is actually the training ground.
It's the only training ground.
So what does this all mean for the listener? We've deconstructed the myth of rising. We've looked at the psychology of hesitation. But I feel like we need to address the elephant in the room. Usually podcasts like ours end with, here are 3 things you can do tomorrow.
And I think it brings us to a place of acceptance. We have to accept that we cannot hack this. There is no shortcut.
So no life hacks for character. No 5 ways to fake integrity.
No. You can't hack character. You can't A/B test your integrity. The insight here is realizing that your values are your safety net. They aren't just nice words on a poster. They are the tactical gear you need when things go wrong.
It's funny, we started this by saying the quote was uncomfortable because it killed the romance of the hero. But now, I actually find it kind of relieving.
Oh, so?
Because the hero myth puts so much pressure on performance in the moment, it makes you feel like you have to perform a miracle. This perspective says, you don't need a miracle. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to be solid. You just need to be you.
You just need to sink. And trust that there is something there to catch you.
Exactly. It makes the job of leadership feel less about performance art and more about honesty.
And that is really the only way to lead when you can't see the path forward. You don't look out, you look down. You check your footing.
We promised at the beginning that we wouldn't offer a prescription. And I think we've stuck to that. This has been more of a mirror than a map.
A mirror is exactly what this scenario is intended to be. It simply reveals it. A mirror doesn't tell you where to go. It just shows you who is standing there.
So as we wrap up, a final thought to take with them. But today, a checklist feels wrong.
I think, given everything we've discussed, the most valuable thing we can offer is a question, a moment of reflection.
Go for it.
We've talked about the lights going out metaphor. We've talked about sinking to your bedrock.
Right.
So here's the provocation. Don't ask yourself, what should I do in a crisis? That's a tactical question. That's a question about the furniture.
What's a better question?
Ask yourself, if the lights went out right now, precisely right now, what bedrock would I land on? Don't answer it for us. Just sit with it.
What bedrock would I land on? That is a question worth carrying around for a while.
It is, and it's the only question that matters when the pressure is on.
Thank you all for diving deep with us today. It's been a pleasure to be back. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Thank you for tuning into another inspiring episode of Leading Beyond Limits. If you enjoyed today's conversation and want to hear more from our incredible guests, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us. And if you have a remarkable leader in mind who you'd like to hear on our show or any questions and comments, feel free to reach out to us. You can find our contact information in the show notes. Remember, leadership knows no bounds, and with the right insights and determination, you too can lead
That's the sound of a big deal. At Wayfair, that sound happens a lot. Dream sofa for half the price? Big deal. New dining table you've been eyeing for months? Big deal. Finally picking up those last few pieces and finishing that bedroom? Now that's a really big deal. Whatever your home needs, Wayfair has the selection, the savings, and over millions of 5-star reviews to back it up. Shop wayfair.com today before someone else snags your big deal.
Wayfair, every style, every home.